Welcome to Grand Prix, your favorite place to get the fastest news about Formula One racing. We have 3 exciting stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and click the bell to stay up to date with everything. Let's get started. Ferrari is having a really important day this Wednesday at a racetrack called Mugello. The Italian racing team is finally going to test their brand new back suspension part for their SF25 race car on the track. They've been working on this new part for weeks and weeks, doing tons of computer tests and spending countless hours trying to make it perfect. The team is really excited to see if their new part works as well in real life as it did on their computers, according to a racing news website called Motorsport Italia. When they tested the new suspension on computers, it showed really big improvements. The car was much more stable and the tires lasted longer. These were 2 of the biggest problems with the SF25 race car this season. The computer tests showed that this new part could make their car go about 0.1 seconds faster each lap. That might not sound like much, but in Formula One racing where everyone is super close, it could be the difference between winning a trophy or finishing in the middle of the pack. This upgrade is all about mechanical parts, not about making the car more slippery through the air. This means they focused on making the car handle better when the drivers hit the brakes, when they go around corners, and when they speed up. Ferrari's smart engineers think this new suspension will give their drivers Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton a car that feels the same every time and is easier to control. This will be especially helpful during long races where the tires get worn out, something that has been a big problem for Ferrari all season. This Wednesday's test means they have to drive 200 kilometers with a new setup. Both Leclerc and Hamilton are going to drive the SF25 to tell the team what they think. Leclerc likes to turn into corners really hard and Hamilton likes the back of the car to feel stable when he speeds up. This will give Ferrari a really good idea of how the new part works in different racing situations. If the results are as good as they hope from their computer tests, Ferrari plans to use the new back suspension as early as the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps. This timing would give them a really important weapon in their fight against McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull, which is still dangerous in the second half of the season. But there's more. The team sees this new part as way more than just a quick fix for 2025, with huge rule changes coming in 2026, including Ferrari's new engine and updated car rules. What they learn from this suspension could help them build their next car. Basically, this isn't just about getting faster now, it's about setting up Ferrari to be competitive in the future. However, Ferrari's rival teams aren't just sitting around doing nothing. McLaren keeps getting better really fast during the season. Red Bull, even though they're having some tough times, is still a threat because Verstappen is so brilliant at driving, and Mercedes seems to have found their groove with their updated car design. For Ferrari, making this back suspension upgrade work is super important if they don't want to become the 4th best team in what has become a really tough 4-way battle. The pressure is real. If they succeed at Mugello, it could put Ferrari back in the running for race wins and might change everything for a season that has shown some amazing moments but hasn't been consistent. But if they fail, the team might have to focus completely on 2026 even earlier than they planned. So what do you think? Will Ferrari's new suspension give them the breakthrough they need to fight for victories more often? Or is it too late for the team from Maranello to climb back into the fight this year? Could this be the first step toward Ferrari coming back strong, or just another missed chance? Yuki Tsunoda's time at Red Bull looks like it's coming to an end. According to sources from GP Blog, the Austrian team has decided not to keep the Japanese driver after the 2025 season ends. If Max Verstappen stays with Red Bull, he's going to get a new teammate for 2026. It's important to remember that Tsunoda got moved up from the Racing Bulls team, which used to be called AlphaTauri, to the main Red Bull racing team earlier this season. He replaced Liam Lawson after just 2 races. People saw this move as a big risk that was meant to bring fresh energy and maybe push Verstappen in a way that Perez and Lawson hadn't been able to do. But after 10 races, the results have been really disappointing. Tsunoda has only scored points once, a 9th place finish, while all his other races have left him with no points at all. Red Bull's people who decide these things are reportedly not happy. The team had hoped that Tsunoda's exciting racing style and how much he improved during his years with AlphaTauri would turn into stronger performances. But instead, the experiment seems to have not worked out, leading to the decision to say goodbye at the end of 2025. Even though the results haven't been good, Tsunoda will probably stay in the car until the very last race of the season. Meanwhile, his managers are actively looking around for options for 2026. One of the most likely places you could go is Aston Martin. With Honda becoming Aston Martin's engine supplier in 2026, the Japanese car company, which has been super important in Tsunoda's F1 career from the very beginning, could use its influence to get him a testing job or reserve driver role. This would at least keep Tsunoda connected to the F1 world and Honda's long-term plans. Cadillac, another team that could be a home for drivers who need new teams, seems to have turned its attention toward other names like Sergio Perez, Bottas and Mick Schumacher. Further down the list of teams, there don't seem to be many opportunities for Tsunoda either. Teams like Haas or Williams haven't shown much interest so far, which means his 6th season in Formula One could very well be his last as a full-time driver. This situation shows just how brutal Formula One can be. Tsunoda, who was once called Japan's great hope for bringing in a new generation of fans, now faces an uncertain future. His raw talent and aggressive driving style have been praised before, but being consistent has always been his biggest weakness. The Red Bull environment, which is famous for its harsh performance expectations, has given him very little room to make mistakes. On the other hand, some people argue that Tsunoda has never really had the right car to show his full potential. At AlphaTauri, he was often held back by cars that didn't perform well. Now at Red Bull, he's being compared to someone like Verstappen, making even decent drives look bad by comparison. Could it be that with a supportive team and a competitive car, Tsunoda might still deliver on the promise Honda saw in him years ago? As the F1 silly season when drivers switch teams heats up, Tsunoda's future will depend on more than just his results on track. Honda's backing is still his strongest advantage. But with younger talents rising quickly through the junior racing series and teams increasingly wanting drivers who are consistently good, the window of opportunity is closing fast. So what do you think? Has Tsunoda's time in F1 come to an end, and should Red Bull have ended things earlier? Or do you believe he still has hidden potential and deserves another chance with a team that can give him the tools to succeed? Could Aston Martin's partnership with Honda be the lifeline that keeps him racing? Adrian Newey has sounded a serious warning within Aston Martin as the team faces growing pressure over delays in developing their 2026 Formula One car. Since joining the British team in March this year, the most celebrated designer in F1 history has been completely focused on their next-generation car. But there's a problem. While rival teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren started work on their 2026 projects as early as January, Aston Martin chose to wait for Newey's arrival to avoid wasting money and time on ideas that might later be thrown away. This strategy of waiting made sense on paper. It's better to have the guidance of a genius like Newey from the beginning than risk designing a car he might later have to completely redo it. But now, with the clock ticking toward 2026 and completely new technical rules set to change F1, Aston Martin finds itself behind everyone else. In a rare interview, Newey admitted that the team is trying to catch up, but insisted he's putting his trademark intense focus into the project. Once I enter this mode of total focus, nothing else matters except building a car capable of winning, Newey said. The 65-year-old engineer explained that the current phase of development is really important because it involves structural parts that cannot be changed once the season begins. These include the suspension setup, the fuel tank packaging, and the wheelbase, all basic parts of the chassis that will decide how well the car performs. Adding to the challenge are the limitations of Aston Martin's computer simulation tools. Unlike teams with years of experience getting the most out of cutting-edge CFD computational fluid dynamics and wind tunnel resources under budget cap rules, Aston Martin is still getting better at these processes. Newey's presence brings up the level of expertise and vision. But there's no shortcut for the time they've lost. And there's another thing making it more complicated: the 2026 regulations themselves. While the power unit rules are changing dramatically with increased electrical output and fuel flow limitations, the chassis regulations leave little room for game-changing innovations. However, Newey believes there's still room to explore the